first question in the middle.
Mark, you guys had 25 assists tonight. What did you feel like were some of the factors in just the offensive flow and rhythm that everybody seemed to be feeling?
I thought, Indiana's kind of an acquired taste. We haven't played them a ton. They're not in the West, obviously, and they play a very distinct style on both ends. And I thought there were a lot of things tonight that we were just like a little better in and more comfortable. And that was on both ends of the floor. I just thought the guys did a good job of just improving, which is important going from game 1 to game 2.
Joel on the right.
Joel Lorenzo, Oklahoma. Mark, I just wonder what it feels like against Indiana when you're operating in that sort of 15-point to 20-point lead, and what you felt was different about the middle quarters of tonight compared to game 1.
I just think you have to understand against them because of the pace and because of the three-point shooting. There's a variance element to every NBA game in this NBA, but certainly in the games that they play. And I just thought we were the aggressor tonight for much of the game, even when we had a lead. I thought the guys did a really good job of keeping the foot on the gas, especially defensively. I thought we really amped it up on that end of the floor. There's a couple times where we got off track on both ends, but we were able to course correct pretty quickly. So I thought the guys did a really good job of just recognizing when we weren't where we needed to be and getting there quicker.
Joe up front.
Joe Masada, the Oklahoman. Mark, what did you think of Aaron Wiggins and just the spark he gave you guys off the bench and the rest of those bench guys as well?
Yeah, they were huge tonight. He was huge tonight. I give him a lot of credit because he was a huge part of our success this season. And in the playoffs, his role's been variant night to night, but he hangs in there. He was huge in the Game 4 win at Denver in that series. And he was massive tonight, went in there with great confidence, didn't go until the second quarter and just dove right into the game. So great professionalism, great readiness, and a huge performance for us in that situation.
Jenny?
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoma, and obviously there was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese kind of gets going, but you guys through 3+ just really held him in check. It seemed like he maybe wasn't getting the ball to teammates, wasn't rebounding maybe as much as he did in the first game. Was that part of maybe keeping him at bay as long as you did? What'd you like about your defense on him?
Yeah, they're not the type of style where you're just like keying on one player, just because of the way they play. And so they're a more conceptual team, and you have to be kind of a conceptual defense against them. And if you do that, I think it has a downstream effect on everybody against them. And so I thought we were able to do that tonight. I thought, like I said to Nick's question, the guys just really improved in a lot of subtle areas, from game 1 to game 2, which is what you have to do in a playoff series to stay ahead of the series.
Barry over here, second row.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. You played your bigs differently today in terms of the rotation. What'd you like about the way Chet and Isaiah played separately and together?
They were both really good in both situations. I thought both of them gave us huge lifts on both ends of the floor. That was one area where we improved tonight, was our pick and roll coverage against their bigs. They're a different look because of the rolling, the popping, just the way they play. And I thought one area that we really improved was on the defensive end in that area of the game. And they both were great. I thought Chet in particular, he obviously had a rough offensive night in game 1. As always, he rose back up and was really, really good.
Brett Gutz from The Athletic. I'm curious how you felt like your offensive process changed from game 1 to game 2, and specifically in just getting into your sets a little earlier. It seemed like you guys were a little more urgent getting into sets earlier in the clock, and how you feel like that affected you guys offensively today.
Yeah, they're a very distinct team. They're not just like a vanilla team. They play a very distinct style. It's part of their effectiveness. And it's both ends of the floor. They have an offensive reputation. They've been kind of branded as an offensive team, but they have a defensive identity as well that's predicated on pressure and perimeter physicality. And I just thought in a lot of areas it'd be easy to just say that one thing looked better tonight, but that would be oversimplifying. I think we were just a little bit better in a lot of different areas of execution, of pace, to your point, organization, decision making in the paint, aggressiveness at the basket, gathering the ball. We just were ticked forward in all those areas.
On your right, Sam in the front.
Sam Amick, The Athletic. Mark, with Shai, after game 1, there was some discussion that it was a bad 38-point game, which probably speaks volumes about what he's capable of. And then you look at tonight, but speak to the bigger picture. All playoffs long, 36-5. he's kind of creeping up the history charts when it comes to the impact and his ability to meet this moment.
Yeah, unsurprising at this point. It's just kind of what he does. He just continues to progress and improve and rise to every occasion that he puts himself in and that we put ourselves in. And I thought, his floor game tonight was really, really in a great rhythm. I thought everyone had played better individually, and I thought we played better collectively, and I thought that was just a byproduct. I give the team a lot of credit because that's a long 48 hours when you lose game one like that, coming into game two. And the guys did a great job of just focusing on what we needed to do to stack to a win tonight, and that's how we got it. So that was individual players, collectively, offense, defense, everything.
Dan over here in the third row on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Along those same lines, Jalen, 19 points, 5 of 14 shooting, but the impact overall seemed to be here from them. I was wondering what you're seeing in terms of the shots he's getting, and then his overall floor game, the impact of that.
Yeah, he didn't get off to like a great start in his first stint, and then he really settled into the game, and he's huge for us. I mean, it's, all the things he brings to the game, defensively, size, versatility, physicality, offensive, on ball, off ball, that floor is really high. We really need him every single night. And when he has the great offensive nights, then he's unbelievable. But he's a great player independent of that. And I thought he was a great player tonight. He was another guy. He took a nice step forward. I think we all just kind of calibrated to our opponent. But you have to continue to improve in the series. I mean, they're going to go home, be very comfortable. They play very well there in these playoffs. And so if we don't continue to improve, then we'll get caught behind them.
Michael down left.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet Toronto. I think Shai had 6 assists assists to 6 different players for 3, and fairly critical game, obviously. And what does it say about the kind of trust that exists between him and vice versa in a situation like this, that he's willing to get off the ball and let other guys kind of step up and help?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a mark of this whole season. I think that's an area, the scoring and the efficiency obviously gets a lot of shine, but he's really steadily improved as a playmaker, and he's been doing that for a long time. I thought in game one, like I said, it was as much to do with us calibrating to the opponent and the style, which was very different from really what we've seen in these playoffs. And I thought we did a good job of that tonight. But again, we have to continue to evolve in the series. Indiana's going to do that, and we need to do that individually and collectively.
John in the middle.
Yeah, John Hollinger from The Athletic. Mark, even while keeping the same starting lineup, it seemed as you got into your bench, you stayed much bigger at the 2, 3, 4 than you were in game one. And I was wondering what went into that decision.
Yeah, I mean, just the feedback from game one. Like we had regular season games that we studied their games leading into this, and then we threw out what we threw out in game one. I thought there were a lot of good things in that. I also thought we could push a little bit in terms of size tonight, obviously with the way that we went. So it takes discipline, but we try to really use these early games in the series to learn what our options are and what our trade-offs are, and not assume anything. And that was the intent tonight, is just to get a little bit more information. Now we have it, we'll apply that as we move forward in the series.
Last question, the back center.
Daigneault, yeah. So, Mark, compared to game one, defense seemed a little different. Not as many turnovers. Can you just talk about the differences between game one and tonight with the physicality, point of attack?
Our defense? Yeah, I mean, some of that's Indiana. There's 2 teams out there, and obviously when teams play against us, they understand that taking care of the ball is critical. And so I thought game one, first half was probably an outlier. And then I do think, when we play smaller, we tend to be a little bit more of a turnover defense. And when we play bigger, we have other strengths. And so it's a combination of things. But I thought overall, every look we threw out tonight, the guys did a great job with.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
All right, first question, front right, Joel.
Roller review with the Oklahoma and Shai. I just wonder, in these 2 games, what you've learned about what it sort of takes to operate with a 10 to 20 point lead against Indiana, and then what you felt maybe was different about the middle quarters tonight than the other night.
You have to stay focused on the task at hand. Now, whatever that may be for your team and how you want to attack them or go about the game plan, but you have to lock in and stay focused. And even tonight, we've had some moments of slippage. Now, you're not going to be perfect out there, but it goes without saying, like, to make it this far into the season it's going to take supreme level of focus to reach an ultimate goal. And they're a display of that to the highest form. Like they play a full 48 minutes, and you can't just throw the first punch. You got to try to throw all the punches all night. And yeah, that's what we did. We threw enough punches tonight to get a W.
Joe, next.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Shai, what do you think of the minutes that Aaron Wiggins gave you guys off the bench and just his shot making in this one?
Yeah, big time. He, it's impressive to me. Like, he's been exactly who he's been all year throughout the playoffs. Like sometimes he gets 20 minutes, sometimes he gets 2 minutes, sometimes he gets 10. Like it's all over the place, and no matter what, he finds a way to impact winning for us. And you need it in the biggest moments. No one-man show when you're in an NBA championship. And for him to rise to the occasion and just be who he's been in the biggest moment of his basketball career is it's pretty gutsy. Says a lot about the competitor and the man he is. So that's off to Wiggs.
Dan over here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. First quarter, pretty tight, only a couple of possessions separation. Then you go off on that big run in the second quarter. I think it was 19-2. I guess just what did you see? What was going on during that run to allow you to establish that separation? And did that kind of feel like you guys play into your identity, maybe more than you were able to in game one?
Yeah, we got stops. We ran. We capitalized on our opportunities. We just strung it together, and I think we strung it together more often than we did in game one tonight, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
I'm going to go with Nick. Mike's coming over.
Shai, I just want to ask you about the offense overall, 25 assists, and it just seemed like you had some of those ball movement plays that we've seen all season long, and why you were able to get to more of that tonight.
Every night for me personally, you try to attack the defense and you try to just like make the right play. You try to make them pay for what they throw at you, coverage-wise, scheme-wise. And I think tonight, myself for sure, did a better job of attacking it. But as a whole, we did a better job of attacking it. We were a little bit sticky last game, but you have games like that. It sucks to be on this stage and have games like that, but it is what it is. It's where we are, right? It's where our feet are. All you can do is try to be better for the next one. I've said that over the past couple of days, and I think we did a good job of that on both ends of the floor.
Second row on your right.
Shai, Guilherme Sack from ESPN Brazil. Game one was loud, but today it was loudest. As a Brazilian, I think that it's the closest that you can have to a South American soccer crowd. How much of a factor does they play on your wing?
Yeah, it helps a lot. It feels like throughout the whole playoffs, the crowd has found a way to get louder every game. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, it's special to be able to play in front of them. It honestly, it makes the road games a little bit easier because it feels like it's almost not as loud as it's been at home. So yeah, they're special, the best fans in the world.
Fred over here on the left.
Fred Katz from The Athletic. Shai, getting back to the offense, it seemed like you guys really made an effort to kind of get into your sets earlier in the clock and get into that pacing more. How much of a sticking point was that for you? And if so, how helpful was that in just kind of being able to run the offense how you guys normally do?
I'm not too sure. That wasn't like something that we try to emphasize going into the game. But I think we just had a better flow to us tonight offensively, more in rhythm, and I think that is definitely a product of it. You give yourself more time through a possession, you can work it more. Not something we tried to specifically do, but stuff like that definitely helps the little things.
Fourth row on the right.
Well, it's King Real Talk Sports. Shai, I heard you mention having an extreme level of focus tonight. As you guys head into Indiana, I know the word momentum gets tossed around a lot. Is there a momentum that you can carry over, or is it a reset?
Every game's a reset, especially at this stage in the season. A series looks so different. We've had a series where we lost a game and won the next one by 40. We've got a series where we won 2 in a row by 20 and then lost the next one by 40. So it's like every game's a reset. And basketball reminds you of that. It's very humbling. It shows you that if you don't stay in the moment. If you don't come ready to play, no matter who you are, no matter what you just did, you can get beat pretty bad. We've learned those lessons, so we should be ready to go.
Michael and Sam, last two on the right.
Shai, Michael Grange, Sportsnet, Toronto. I mean, what does it say that in a game that's pretty much a very crucial win to get, that I think you had 6 different assists to 6 different three-point shooters, and that you were so willing to rely on your teammates in a situation like this?
The way I see it, I have no choice. No one-man show achieves what I'm trying to achieve with this game. All the stats and the numbers, they're fun, but I don't play in space as much as I do without having them out there. I don't get open as much as I do without having the screeners out there, whether it's a slide out or a set. Like, those guys are the reason why we're as good of a team as we are, and I just add to it. So the way I see it, I had no choice. They ready for the moment, as I knew they would be, and they performed.
Sam, last question, front right.
Sam Amick, The Athletic. Shai, your 72 points in the first 2 games is an all-time high for a player in his first 2 finals games. Allen Iverson had 71. How does that hit you, and beyond your scoring, because that's not the end of your game, just how do you feel like you are meeting this moment on the final stage?
I'm being myself. I don't think I tried to reinvent the wheel or step up to the plate with a different mindset. Just try to attack the game the right way, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that so far. Now I would trade the points for 2 W's for sure, but this is where our feet are, this is where we are, and you can't go back in the past. You can only try to make the future better, so that's what I'm focused on. So.
Thank you, Shai. Wiggins will be right up.
The more desperate team. What does that practically look like for you guys coming into the game?
I mean, we know the situation that we was in. Obviously, it's a tough team we playing right now, and then we in a position where we have home court advantage, and we want to take care of that. And just knowing that we let one slip last game, today was a must win for sure.
What makes Hallie different? What makes defending Hallie different than any other star and trying to keep the ball out of his hands?
I wouldn't say he's different. I mean, most of the guys I guard has the ball most of the time. So, my main thing is stay in front of him, make everything tough. I mean, he's a good player. He's gonna make some tough shots. He's gonna make some good reads. So I just got to stay in front of him.
What's Alex Caruso like as a leader for you guys off the bench?
He's big. Honestly, for me as well. Like, he has a lot of experience and he's really smart. And then sometimes I feel like he's seeing the game a little differently. And then, he's a unbelievable defender. And then, me as well. So every time we talk about like defensive stuff, I mean, I'm picking up his brain so many times.
I was going to say, you're obviously talented defensively, but are there things you pick up from him on that end of the floor?
Yeah, a lot. I can't tell you though.
That you can share?
Yeah.
He spoke about how it was with the Bucks to attack the championship.
For sure.
Experience about it.
Yeah. We had a lot of conversation about this all year. I mean, Dub said it one time, but at some point early in the season, he brought his ring, and then we just took a look at that, and then he has so many stories about what he achieved, which is big.
Is there a point after that game 1 where you could feel that everybody had kind of flushed it?
Yeah, I would say the next day. I mean, obviously right after the game it hurts. Took your phone, you see everything on social media, but the next day when we watch film and we know some of the stuff that we can take care of, which we did tonight. So I would say after the next day we moved on.
And can you tell that from the way you guys were playing that, oh yeah, we've definitely put this behind us? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a next game mentality, and then you always got to take care of the game in front of you. It's the playoff. It's gonna happen, and then we're gonna win. We're gonna win some. We're gonna lose some, but we just gotta be prepared for the next one.
What have you learned about sort of what it takes to play with a lead against Indiana?
Honestly, just to keep the lead. They're a team that has been in that position multiple times where they came back in games that they were down by a lot, and they fight till the end of the game. So we got to make sure if we got a big lead, we got to keep it.
Ça fait quoi la principale différence selon toi entre votre performance au premier match et ce soir?
En tant qu'équipe, on a gardé le lead qu'on avait. Honnêtement, quand on avait le lead, on a commencé à on a continué à prendre des bonnes décisions, des bons tirs, qui a fait en sorte qu'on a été capable de garder le lead tout le reste du match.
You want to give us a translation for that real quick?
Bro, sorry, bro.
I know a lot of the talking points after game one were that, you know, you turned them over so much, but maybe they didn't turn into points. Not a big gap in, you know, points off turnovers and turnovers tonight, but the rebounding battle, that feels like the glaring number from game one to game two. Like, do you feel like that was a separator, and what do you sort of see on the glass this game?
You talking about them or us?
Both of you.
I mean, honestly, we've been, you know, going at the offensive rebound throughout the whole year, so it's not new to us. You know, every time we feel like we can get an extra possession, we'll do it. I mean, we playing a fast game. You know, we're a fast team, they're a fast team, and you know, it's sometimes gonna happen that the ball goes a little bit everywhere. So, you know, we just gotta stay aggressive and on that end.
Luke, corrige-moi si je me trompe, mais il y a eu plus de possessions ce soir où tu as été le principal défenseur sur Haliburton. Il y avait seulement 5 points après le troisième quart. Est-ce que tu as l'impression qu'il y a eu droit au traitement de la Dort Chamber ce soir?
Bon, on pourrait dire ça, mais à chaque fois que moi je joue en défense, j'essaie que ça soit tough, surtout contre lui qui a souvent la balle dans ses mains. Mais ouais, de toute façon, on a des bons défenseurs dans notre équipe. Je fais confiance à n'importe qui est devant lui. Mais aujourd'hui, j'ai juste été capable de rester devant lui tout le long, puis ça a bien fonctionné.
Joel in the front row on the right.
Joel Lindsay with the Oklahoma. Chet, I wonder what you've learned about what it takes to sort of operate with a lead against this Indiana team.
I don't think it's anything super tactical. I don't think it's anything X's and O's wise, really. It's just you have to. You can't play like you're up and just try to run the clock out. You know, because they can put points on the board in a hurry. So you got to try to continue to score with them, and then you know keep getting stops on the other end. And you know, not even look at how much time's on the clock. You just got to continue to, you know, try and play like the game's tied. Try to keep winning the game each possession, one at a time. And you know, you can't get caught up playing the score.
Front right.
Andrew Schleck with The Athletic. So you guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and at the rim than you did in game one. Just thoughts on how you guys are able to accomplish that?
I think we did a good job of being aggressive and then playing more on 2 feet, making some decisions in that mid-paint area, where in last game we were, you know, kind of just putting up those shots. I think we did a better job of finding some better looks, whether it was dunker spacing or kickouts or whatever it might be. I feel like we did a good job of, you know, slowing down in that space.
Jenny on the right.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Hey, Chet, Mark said that Indiana's offense is a conceptual offense and you have to play conceptual defense against them. I know when it comes to Tyrese, you've got to have great on-the-ball pressure with him, but what are the rest of y'all doing, or what did you do tonight to make his job harder, to make their offense, you know, more difficult for them out there?
We have to play to our principles. We've been working on them all year. You know, we can't just forget who we are, and then we have to communicate. It's really loud in there, and we wouldn't want it to be any other way. The fans bring us a lot of energy, but you really have to communicate when it's loud, especially when somebody's you know, up guarding the ball. They can't see everything behind them, so they're trusting you to communicate with them. And you know, whoever's you know, guarding the screener, kinda, and whether they're in coverage or something else, they got to trust the people behind them to communicate with them what's going on, and trust that everybody's going to be in the right spots, and then just you know, try and execute over and over. You know, it's a long game. There's a lot of possessions. They're you know, throwing a lot of things out there every possession, so you just got to trust that you know, communication and execution will get the job done.
Back left.
Anthony Say with The Athletic. How good did the big-to-big lob feel, especially considering, you know, you guys didn't even go with the double big lineup in game one?
You know, I always love playing with Hart, especially when he's throwing lobs up to me. But at the end of the day, it was just 2 points. You know, it's a good play for us, so we gotta look for it whenever that situation is kind of given to us. But try to keep emotions out of it.
Guy player who gets really upset between games and that fuels you if you have a bad game one, or do you just try to shake it off?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a little bit of both. You don't want to get so wrapped up emotionally that you can't process why things happen, good or bad, and then you also have to have a level of care. You know, if you're just like, whatever, I don't think that's good either. So I'd say I have a good middle ground of not getting overly emotional, but also caring enough to try and always be better next game, whether I have a good game or not.
Dan on the left, third row.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. It seemed like you and Isaiah were both setting ball screens a little bit higher tonight, maybe a little bit closer up to half court. I was wondering what benefits that provides for Shai or for J-Dub when they're getting downhill?
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's like a tactical point or anything. I'd say that's just where the screens happen to be set.
Marcus back left.
Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. Chet, how would you explain or describe Caruso's energy levels for a 30-year-old man?
Don't disrespect our coach like that, man. He's one of those guys who you know is going to bring it every single night, whether he's 22 or 30. It doesn't matter. He's going to bring it, and I feel like as a collective we really feed off of that, and then also his ability to kind of process things that are happening out there and relay it and communicate it to everybody else is really important for us. So, hopefully that doesn't fade away as the years go on.
Last 2 questions, fourth row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Chet, Mark mentioned how he knew as a collective you guys would improve from game 1 to game 2, but specifically you. When you think about his belief in you, how has he helped you grow, not even just on the court, but even off the court as a player?
It's extremely important. When other people instill confidence in you, it allows you to play more confident. It allows you to have trust in what's going on, have trust in what he's telling me and us as a collective. And then also a big part of that is he has to trust that I'm going to do everything it takes to be better after bad games or bad plays or whatever. It's all about trusting that the other party has the right process in mind. He always has the right process in mind, and I try to as well. And from there, you can kind of build out a good working relationship, good ability to continue to improve and be better together.
Last one on the right, fourth row.
Adam Francisco, Swap Report. This was OKC's first finals win since June 12th, 2012. What does it mean, or what does that mean to you, and what were you doing in 2012?
2012, I was stuffing in the back of a SUV going on 12-hour car trips for AE tournaments and sitting playing, what's that game? It's like Jetpack Joyride on the iPads in the back of the car. That's a pull right there. But yeah, it's hard to think about stuff like that because we are in it. We won a game, but that isn't the end goal. So we got to continue to try and be better as the series goes on.
Thank you, Chad.
20 points, around 20 points with the Pacers after what happened in the game 1.
It was big, we just didn't want to let off the gas. Just stay hungry the whole 48.
It's something that you spoke about before the game, that keep always a long distance from them.
Yeah, any lead is a good lead. We just didn't want to let off the gas.
Cason, what makes Hali different than guarding any other star in the league?
He gets it going whenever he wants. You know, it might not be early. You know, he gets it going late whenever they need him. A lot of guys can't do that.
What was Alex Caruso like as a leader off the bench for you guys?
Great energy guy. You know, he always, you know, pushing the pace. You know, bringing the energy that we need.
Is there anything you can take away from him, knowing that whenever he checks in the game, you're always going to get a very solid performance on both ends?
Yeah, his consistency. That's something that everybody sees out of him. Yeah, that's one that I could pick up.
Cason, what's the 0-0 mindset mean to you, and did it take you a little bit of time to, you know, fully, you know, adapt to that?
It took a few games, not very long, because that's the mindset everybody has. So you know that you got to be on one sound when it comes to stuff like that.
Cason, what have you learned through 2 games about what it takes to sort of operate with a 10 to 20 point lead against the Pacers?
It takes a lot of focus. You know, they make late game runs. We've seen it. So you just can't let off the gas once you get a lead.
And forgive me if you got asked this already, but the lineup to start the second and to start the fourth, it felt like you guys just sort of brought different energy to the game. What you feel out there with that group?
We knew that we had a lead and we needed to keep it. So just giving us a good fourth quarter start, you know, and it'll carry over the rest of the game.
Yeah, Cason, first finals win since June 12th, 2012. Can you just talk about what that means to you and the team?
It means a lot. You know, we're part of history, and you know, when you can have your fingerprints on something like that, it's special.
You know what you were doing in 2012, June 12, 2012?
Nah, probably outside playing.
Anything else? Thanks, Cason.
Thanks.
Take questions around the room. Please raise your hand. First one, 5th row in the right there.
Feeling of the athletic. Jalen, between you, guys like Alex and Lou, you guys have a number of high-level defenders. How do you determine the plays on which you want to switch the screen or you want to stay attached? How do you guys figure that out in real time?
Can y'all hear me? Is that good? Just communication, I think, is the biggest part of that. Obviously, you know, we have schemes in place, and I don't get into like too much like matchup-oriented stuff, but a lot of it is just like being physical up until the screen, making sure our communication's early and loud, and that's been like kind of the biggest thing. That from there, like you said, we have really good defenders that can sniff a lot of plays out. So being able to talk it, and I think there's like an old like saying like talk it, touch it, switch it, that kind of thing. So probably replace it like the switch it part, but a lot of it is just being close enough to your man to be able to like hear what the coverage call is and do that whole thing.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry Tramble, Tulsa World. Jalen, I'm sure you got 1,000 things to worry about getting ready for game 2. Minutes is not one of them. You know you're going to play a big chunk of the game. Aaron Wiggins, not that way. Doesn't know if he's going to play, doesn't know how much. He gets thrown out there and has a game like he has. How much do you respect a guy that can come out and just cold call play like that?
It's just the hardest job in the league, I feel like. I think it goes underrated. That's a really good question. That goes really underrated. It's really hard to like stay engaged and stay ready. And for him to be able to do that on the biggest stage that he's ever played on and have a really good game is very special there. So always keep that in mind. And yeah, it's a really tough job, and he does it very well.
Fred, over here on the left.
Jalen, Fred Katz from The Athletic. I'm sure there have been, obviously you competed against Alex Caruso as an opponent. I'm sure there have been times where drills, scrimmages, whatever, where you guys have been on opposite teams. What is that feeling like when you have to dribble and Alex Caruso is right in front of you?
I don't know, I'd be frying AC, so I don't really know. No, but he's a really good defender. Great hands, good feet, physical, smart. So you add all that together and the amount of like years that he's been in the league, I can imagine it's probably a little uncomfortable.
Jenny, front right.
Jalen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoma. And there was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese got going a little bit, but with the exception of that, you guys held him well in check, not just points-wise, but really not affecting the game as much as he's capable of. What's key against him? I mean, I know on the ball defense is important, but what else has to happen to keep him at bay like you guys did for 3+ quarters tonight?
A lot of it is just trying to make his life really difficult. You know, kind of the same way they're doing with like me and Shai, like, and just us in general. Like, he's a good player. He's gonna affect the game without even, you know, like even if he has an off night, like him being on the floor, like he's gonna have some type of impact on the game. So a lot of it is just trying to make it really hard for him to get to spots and understanding what he likes to do and try and turn that off. But like I said, he's a good player. He's gonna be out there. Just him being out there is gonna affect how we play defense. So I think taking that into account is big for us.
7th row on the right.
Jalen over here, Myron Patton, OKC Sports. You guys have talked about how you really have to stay engaged. You know, a lead is never safe with them. It's part of the problem too that they really test your defense because it seems like at all times they've got 5 guys that they all can score. You can't really take a break on any of these guys.
Yeah, like I've been saying, they're really similar in how we play too. So we've been able to understand that. I think the last game they had a lot of guys in double figures. That's what makes them dangerous. The same way that we have like Aaron Wiggins and guys that don't play that can come in at any moment, they have kind of the same thing going for them. So we just got to understand that and be ready throughout the whole entire game.
Tim, right here.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Dub with Shai, they're obviously, like you said, throwing a lot of stuff at him. What did you think of kind of his decision making tonight as far as like when to attack, when to split double teams, when to get off the ball, and you know, let you other guys make plays?
He's just getting better and better, which is very impressive. For obviously he's the MVP of the league, so for him to continue to get better is good. And then he just trusts us to make plays. So I think when your best player is out there and he trusts you to make a play, it just gives you more confidence, and he understands that. I think that's one of the roles that he's gotten really good at, something that he's grown at, and it just makes our team better.
You guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and around the rim tonight as opposed to game one. What went into that?
Focus. Some of it too is just you got to stick with it. Like basketball, like you're gonna have games where like you don't make shots, you have bad games where you miss layups. Like it's more about the process of how you're getting to the rim and how you're going about like certain offense. And I think if we just continue to stick with that, Mark always says just getting better through every game, I think we'll be in a good spot. But a lot of it is just like being persistent with it.
Thank you, Jalen. Alex will be right up.
Yo, you got one? Go ahead. Yeah.
I asked Shai about if the momentum will carry over into Indiana or if it's a reset. He said it's a reset. So I ask you as one of the leaders on this team, how do you guys go into Indiana reset and keep that extreme focus?
The biggest thing is understanding your opponent and where their heads are at and try and put yourself in their shoes. The good thing is now it's 0-0 for us, for sure. So we just got to kind of understand what kind of energy they're going to come out with, and, you know, them being at home, them in the finals, what kind of like punch they're going to throw and be ready for that.
Thank you.
Do you like looking up at us instead of us having to look up at you?
I just like sitting down.
Isaiah, obviously a big difference between these 2 games that you played with Chet. What did that feel like in this game? What did you feel like that did to sort of change the game?
It felt good. I mean, it felt like what we've been doing all season, all playoffs. I think we're versatile enough that even if they have a small lineup, bigger lineup, I think we can play both ways, and I think that's gives Mark a lot of different options. I think we can go super big, we can go small, we can go one big on the court. So I think that's what makes our team special, that we can change it up.
Through 2 games, just what have you sort of learned about what it takes to play with a lead against Indiana?
Again, I think first game, looking back on it, yeah, we missed some shots. They made some big shots at the end, but I think today we just did a better job executing. I think coming in, we wanted to established that from the get-go. We wanted to make sure that throughout the game that we were locked in. I think throughout the game it was all of us talking, hey, stay locked in, like let's keep pushing the lead, let's keep going. I think that we were all in the same mindset, and I think that was big.
Not as many turnovers tonight as the other night, but tonight the defense seems a little bit better. First, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah.
Second, what do you feel like was the difference between?
I think, again, executing was better. I think our closeouts were better. Pick and roll defense was a lot better. And, again, that was stuff that we didn't do good the first game. And it kind of came back to haunt us at the end. So, yeah.
Do you, when it's things like that, does it make it the day after easier to swallow and you know it's things that you guys can easily get better at?
I think as a team, we're so facts focused. I think we try to take the emotions out of it. I mean, again, we're all human. So after the game, you're going to be a little bit frustrated. But again, I think, myself being in the league for now a couple years, being in different playoff series, you just look at the facts, and being emotional about it won't change anything about it. So, yeah.
What's Alex Caruso? Mit 8 Rebounds, die meisten im Team, und gerade mal 22 Minuten und den zweitbesten Wert vom Plus-Minus-Rating mit plus 17. Wie wichtig ist so ein Spiel für dich jetzt auf dem Weg, dass es jetzt nach innen geht für Games?
Ist auf jeden Fall wichtig. Ich glaube, für mich ist eine Sache, ich weiß, wie ich das Team helfen kann. Wir haben viele Spieler, die auf einem hohen Niveau spielen kann. Und ja, ich wollte einfach noch rausgehen, meinen Job machen. Und ich glaube, wie ich immer sage, meine Rolle ändert sich immer. Das erste Spiel war es ein bisschen mehr aggressiv scoren. Dieses Spiel war es mehr Passing. Und ja, ich glaube, das macht mich in der Liga besonders, dass ich beides machen kann und egal was das Team braucht, helfen kann.
Wir haben die vergangenen Tage auch viel von euch gehört, dass Alex Caruso eine sehr wichtige Rolle im Team hat. Frage dazu, inwieweit hat er so vom Championship-Title mit den Lakers euch da auch ein bisschen Erfahrung schon mitgegeben, wie er das durchlebt hat, dass er da auch helfen kann?
Ich glaube, während der Saison haben wir viel bisschen drüber geredet, so wie es für ihn war. Ist auf jeden Fall ein großer Spieler für uns, ist ein Leader für uns, und ich glaube, unsere beide Erfahrung hilft das Team sehr. Ich glaube, wir beide reden sehr viel, und ja, das hilft auf jeden Fall.
As someone who's played on a few teams with a lot of different players, is there anything really that had impressed you about the mental makeup of this team? It just, really seems like there's not a lot that can phase you guys.
Yeah, I think it starts with Mark. I think Mark establishes it really early in the season. It's a 0-0 mentality. I think no matter what situation you're in, you just start back from zero. We try to take the emotions out of it. It's kind of probably very stoic kind of thinking process. Just controlling what you can control, taking your emotions out of it, and just seeing the facts for what they are. I think the first is established with Mark, but then also Sam Presti brought in guys who all had the same mindset. So yeah.
What is Alex Caruso like as a leader for you guys off the bench?
That's big. I think what he's brought to us, if it's on the court, off the court, he's a big leader. Talks a lot in a good way. Again, he leads by example. He leads vocally, and then he also leads with his play. So it's been big.
Is there things you're able to pick up from him defensively?
From him?
Yeah, different things you guys discuss and kind of pick up.
I think our roles are kind of different. I think it's more how can we all be on the same page. I think the guys I talked to Lou probably the most. Lou, AC, and Cason. I think we try to be on the same page because we're in almost every pick and roll. So.
At second, it was you, I think Caruso, Cason, Wiggs, and Doug. And then that same lineup started the fourth. What did that group sort of do to change the game?
I think me, AC, Doug kind of talked about the days before. We just wanted to come in, establish early. I think that lineup has a lot of smart guys who are unselfish on both ends of the court. And so I think when we come in, we just bring a little different grit to the game. Smart group of guys, and yeah.
They've been saying 0-0. This team, we've been saying 0-0 for years now.
Yeah.
You just got here for this year. How long did it take you to like really gravitate towards that mindset?
I mean, myself, I've probably had that mindset probably the last 2 years, just getting more into the mental game. So just learning from that helped me a lot. And then, I mean, that was also in the summer when I was talking to Sam, when I was talking to Mark, something that was really intriguing for me, how that they approached the game the same way I approached it. And that was definitely a great selling point in the summer, where I thought mindset, we were all aligned.
Obviously, you talk about building those habits all season, but is it still impressive that you guys are actually able to put it into action here in the NBA Finals?
No, I mean that's what you do it in the season for. I think you build habits, you learn. Again, we're still young, but we're very mature in how we approach the game, how we react to certain stuff. And yeah, so I think we're very mature, but we also know we can always get better.
Anything else? Thanks,
Okay, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Ein bisschen komplett anderes Thema. Dennis Schröder ist ja dafür bekannt, dass er immer der Letzte ist, der aus dem Lockerroom rauskommt, weil er noch Treatment und so macht. Jetzt bist du auch einer mit der Letzten. Kannst du uns vielleicht irgendwie was mitgeben? Liegt das auch daran, dass du ein Treatment machst? Oder?
So ich gehe wahrscheinlich nach dem Spiel in den Kraftraum, da mache ich da was, Treatment ein bisschen, gehe ich in ein Eisbad und dann duschen. Und ja, ich muss immer von meiner Frau ein bisschen hören, dass ich ein bisschen schneller machen muss, aber ja, ich glaube, ich habe früh von vielen anderen Leuten gelernt, früh von meinem Vater gelernt, wie wichtig es ist, sich um seinen Körper zu kümmern. Ich glaube, wie Dennis das macht, der ist auch ein Top-Profi. Der ist in der Liga schon sehr lange und ich glaube, er weiß auch, wie man seinen Körper
Habt ihr euch da schon mal ausgetauscht darüber, dass ihr euch dann Tipps weitergibt, was gut funktioniert?
Nee, ich habe das jetzt erst erfahren, dass er das macht, aber ich weiß, dass er ein richtig guter Profi ist, man sieht man von der Ferne. Und ja.
We'll take first question, Joe up front on one.
Joe Masada, the Oklahoman. Aaron, throughout your career here, you've talked about always being ready no matter what role you were put in. What was it like just to have this performance tonight in an NBA Finals game for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Just try to go out there, contribute to the team, help put us in a position to win. And got hot. The guys kept finding me, so just stuck with it.
Aaron Michael Grange, Sportsnet Toronto. Critical must-win game, and Shai was really looking for his teammates, found you and I think 5 or 6 other guys, 4 open threes. What does it say about the trust he has in the group that he goes to work with?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows his willingness to, create for other guys. Obviously, everybody sees the points and, how easy it may be for him to, go out there and get 30, 40 points. But when he's out there sharing the ball and getting other guys involved, that's when our team is, at our best. So, credit to him just going out there, playing the game the right way and, continuing to just, help put us in good positions.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Aaron, by all accounts, you've handled the up and down minutes pretty well. But internally, how do you deal with it? You can't like it to, not playing a game, play a little. So how do you deal with it, especially when the games get to this big stage?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to like, the downside to, low minutes or, not playing consistently, a lot every night. But it's the NBA. There's a lot of highs and lows. There are other guys who are going through similar things and guys who have, just kind of earned their rights. So understanding that, I'm still blessed to be in the NBA and do what I love. And at this level, you can't take it for granted. So just continue to stay ready and take advantage of, the opportunities I get.
Nick in the center.
Aaron, it may just be instinctual, but part of this whole conversation is your ability to play off of and alongside every single one of your teammates. I think of your threes, 4 of them assisted by 4 different players. What is it about you and maybe your journey that allows you to just be so fluid no matter who you're out there with?
I mean, just having learned, I think I've been in every different position, whether that's having the ball in my hands, being a second, third, fourth option, and even coming off the bench. Regardless of what's asked for me, I think I've just kind of had experiences. So regardless of what's asked for me tonight, regardless of what's asked for me, come Wednesday, just being ready and going out there and wanting to win first allows me to just be myself.
Over on the right.
Yeah, Aaron, Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. You've had some big scoring nights this season, but this is your first NBA Finals. Just wonder if those big scoring nights in the regular season help you adjust to this easier, I guess?
Definitely just, gives you confidence because knowing that, you're capable of and you've done it before, allows you to go out there and play, allows me to go out there and play my game and just play confident, play free. It also kind of just, I think, allows my teammates to trust me and find me at times when I get going. So definitely plays a factor.
Fourth row on the right.
King, Real Talk Sports, thank you for your time. You mentioned just your journey and being ready for the moment. When you think about your hometown, when you first picked up the basketball, how much of your hometown do you carry with you every night when you step out on the court?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Being from Greensboro, kind of, my journey early on, it built me to be grateful and take advantage of the opportunities I get. The teams that I played for and I was kind of like a late bloomer. That just kind of, helped, my journey. It kind of helped me mentally to not be afraid of, regardless of what moment may be in front of me or regardless of what's asked for me. So I always think back, to being at home and, staying grounded.
Dan here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Aaron, you were part of that big 19-2 run in the second quarter to kind of blow the game open. Just what were you seeing in terms of what was allowed you to establish that separation? And the building gets insane, super duper loud when that kind of stuff happens. What does that feel like when you're feeling that game expand like that?
Yeah, it feels great. I think we just kind of found a rhythm on both ends of the court. We were able to get stops, get out in transition, hit a couple of shots, and once we kind of got going, you could kind of just feel the energy, playing a factor in that. So electric crowd tonight, and they were a part of that 19-2 run in that second quarter.
Last two questions. Third row on the left and in the front.
Ramon, Deportes en Línea, Dominican Republic. And during the game, you were able to have a lead for 15 plus points. During the third quarter, did you have in your mind that probably Indiana could make the comeback again?
Yeah, the game's not over. They did game one, so we've got to close out games the way we did tonight. We've got to make sure that we don't take our foot off the gas and just continue to play the right way. And we did a good job of that tonight, executing down the stretch and just making sure that we close that game.
Joseph Pavone, clutch points. Aaron, we talked about the big scoring nights you had during the regular season, and coming into this game, or I should say throughout this entire postseason. Is there an ups and downs kind of flow to that in the sense that you're sort of itching to put a performance together like this, or is it just sort of those any game this could happen and that's your mindset going in?
Yeah, win first mentality for me. So not thinking about how many points I'm going to score or what it looks like. Just want to go out there and play more than anything. So if I score 0 points but I get 15 rebounds and I'm playing 20 minutes, I'm happy. Not itching to have a big game by any means, just, trying to help the team win.
Thank you. Joel up in the front, on the right.
Joel Lorenzi by Oklahoma. And what have you learned through 2 games about what it takes to play with the lead against Indiana, and what sort of urgency did you sense from that group that started the second quarter?
Yeah, they're hell bent on playing the way that they want to play for 48 minutes, whether they're up 20, down 20, tie game, early in the fourth, from the start of the game. They're going to play how they're going to play, and I think that's the test for us this series is, can we withstand their pace and their pressure that they put on us on offense and defense of being physical and trying to play tough on that end, and sustain it for a full 48 minutes. And that's the challenge for us is can we play at our best for 48 minutes and extended stretches, and even like tonight we were up 19 or so, and they made a little 6-0 run. Mark called timeout, and we got right back to playing how we needed to play. That's the test for us.
On your right, Jenny.
Do what? Yeah, I don't remember specifically start of the second. Was that like our dub, me, Cason, Wiggs? We've played that lineup a lot through the playoffs, and Mark went back to it just because, we've had a lot of success. Me and Cason do a good job of kind of mixing it up with whoever's the lead guards, and then, Dub has great hands, and then I'm not sure if it was Chet or Hart, but, we just have versatility on lineup, and it lets Wiggins, let Wiggins get loose a little bit too.
Hey Alex, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Mark called their offense conceptual. Rick called it an ecosystem. Obviously, Tyrese is the head of all of that. So how do you guys feel like you've balanced tonight, guarding him, making sure you're handling him, but then, were there other things you felt like you did to sort of hold him in check the way you did, especially first 3+ quarters?
Yeah, I mean, you give a lot of credit to Lou. I think he matched up with most of his minutes. He was accepting the challenge. I think Lou maybe only made one shot tonight, but he knows the role he needs to play for us to have a chance to win this series and pick up that trophy at the end. And he was doing a good job of it. But like you said, kind of speaking on the way they play, like tonight they had 5 or 6 guys in 12 to 17 point range. All of them took about 10 to 12 shots. Like, they're a very unselfish team. They're a very consistent team with wherever the ball finds, that person is aggressive to score, and they got good players. So I think it's just, it comes down to making it as hard as we can for them, and then, trying to force tough shots and finish possessions.
Marcus on the left.
Marcus Thompson, The Athletic. I got a couple questions for you. You had the fewest minutes in the regular season that you've had in a long time. I think like your second year. I'm curious what that was like for you. Was it tough as a guy who's used to playing, or was it good for you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Some of that is I play a pretty erratic style. Regardless if it's game 1 or if it's game 2 of the finals. Like, I just only have one gear. I don't know how to play at 75%. So some of that was keeping me, out of my own way, out of harm's way, because I don't do a good job of that on my own. And then, yeah, some of that was difficult just because I am such a competitive guy, and, if I'm only playing 15 to 20 minutes, and if it's one of those nights where it's 15 and we're not playing great, like, my instinct is to, like, all right, coach, like, leave me in there, let me fix it, let me be the one to, like, help us get out of it. So yeah, a little difficult in that aspect, but at the same time, when 68 games in the regular season, we had a 12, 13-man rotation through the year, depending on who was hurt, and, different teams we played. That just comes with the nature of having a really good, deep team.
Have you gotten a chance to process being back in the finals, especially like the journey to get back to this level and how it impacts your play now?
Yeah, just how difficult it is. It's not easy to make the playoffs. It's not easy to win a series. It's not easy to advance to the finals. Like, all of that shouldn't be taken for granted. And I keep seeing people for the first time this postseason, like people that I know or don't know, and they say congratulations, and I truly don't want them to tell me congratulations until the series is over and we've won. Like, I don't feel like we've accomplished anything until we win 4 games. And that's just kind of the mindset I have, because, like you said, getting here isn't guaranteed. You're not, nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets an extended welcome. You have to earn it every time, and being here is an accomplishment, but winning it is the real pinnacle.
Third row in the center.
Hey Alex, Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Jalen was just asked about going against you in practice. He said that he tends to fry you a lot. I was wondering if you have a response to that.
Dub's just a very confident individual. I'm not the best practice player. Once I made an NBA roster and I signed a contract, my intensity in practice dropped a little bit. In the game is kind of where it matters now. I think I've earned that spot in my career. So we'll let him have the days in between games.
Nick.
Alex, I just want to ask you about the offensive process that you felt as a team. You guys had 25 assists, and it just seemed like more of those sort of inside-out ball movement plays that you were able to get to throughout the night.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that we touched on last postgame when I was up here, just about, I felt like we were playing in crowds a little bit. We felt like we were, forcing one, good, we weren't respecting good defense when we were driving to the basket, and there were guys that were open, and, maybe a little bit was that wanting to win the game so badly first night in game one that, we overlooked how we've played all year, and I think tonight was a better representation of how we play, and it's probably why, we had good rhythm with shots going in and the ability to play inside out.
Thank you, Alex.
Good. Thanks.
Concludes the session in here for